We have what I think probably the biggest upgrade that you can get for your Xmaxx, because I think this could ultimately solve the biggest weak point that I found in this truck, which is bending drive shafts. Now we all know that the Xmaxx is notorious for bending drive shafts, especially when you start bashing it hard and taking big jumps with it. Here is my stock center drive shaft after 2 runs with this truck, and as you can see, this thing is totally destroyed. I mean, this thing did not only bend, but it actually exploded on one end right there. As you can see, I mean, it's actually kind of crazy how this thing turned out the way it is. I mean, well, it is what it is, as you can see right there. To be honest with you guys, it just doesn't make sense to have a solid drive shafts like this when the rest of the truck pretty much flex every jump. You're pretty much going to end up with a bent drive shafts every run. So that's pretty much what happened to me. So I end up getting one of these from eBay. This is actually a split drive shafts mod. A lot of guys are actually running this. This has actually been working out pretty well for me for a while, to be honest with you. And lately I have been hearing some grinding, some weird noises in my truck, and then when I check, and as you can see, one of the end is actually pretty worn out, as you can see right there, and the other end is actually damaged pretty bad, as you can see right there. And actually, I don't know if you notice on the camera, but this one end right here is actually starting to expand, and most likely it's going to end up splitting like my original center drive shaft like this. So again, I mean, this thing works actually pretty well, but over time there's still not going to be a proper or solid solution drive shaft for the Xmaxx. So M2C actually came out with something very ingenious to solve this issue. This is the new M2C CVD style center drive shafts kit for the Xmaxx. So we have a solid X brace right here. I mean, look at the design of this thing. A big shout out to Everett for such an awesome design with this X brace bracket right here. That's really cool. I mean, the machining of this thing is actually pretty awesome too. Looks super solid, and this thing is super lightweight too. They also included 2 sets of drive shafts for testing. This is an aluminum ones, and this is a hardened steel ones. And a couple of guys already have a couple runs with this kit, and they found that the hardened steel drive shafts is actually the way to go. So I will probably gonna go ahead and go straight to the hardened steel drive shafts here instead of testing out these aluminum ones. We also have a couple of barrel or tubes here that goes in between the brace, and here we have this beautiful, nicely machined male spline drive cup that connects into the input gear, that connects into your differential input gear. And you also have the female ones spline that goes on the other end of the truck. And here we have a couple of bearings and some pins to put this thing together. Alright, so let me show you guys how this thing is properly set up, and then we'll install it into the truck. Alright guys, let me get this thing started here and set this thing up. Keep in mind that this is still a prototype, guys. The final product will not come with this heatsink that you see here in the middle of the barrel, middle of the tube. This is just for testing. We're still working out some kinks on this thing, but we want to make sure that this thing actually hold up out there. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna do is set up the CVDs like so, and then you're gonna drop this pin in here, like so, and then you're gonna grab one of the bearing to hold that pin in there from popping out, and then drop this thing right there. Alright guys, as you can see, I got it all set up. It was actually a pretty easy process. There was really nothing to it. Very straightforward. And as you can see guys, this is how it would look like once it's already installed and seated in the truck. But before I do that, I just wanted to kind of demonstrate to you guys and show you guys how much play this thing is allowing. As you can see right there, you're not only getting the proper play from the base, but you're also getting some more play on both ends of the cup right here. So there's no doubt in my mind that this is going to go well when the truck is flexing out there during hard landing. So talk about innovation right here. I think every looper really nailed the design on this one. I mean, just the thought of having a CVD style center drive shaft for the Xmaxx, I think is just a pretty genius idea. So again, huge shout out to M2C Racing for such an amazing creation right here. So alright guys, before I install this and show you guys how this thing is set up into the truck, I just want to give you guys a quick side-by-side comparison here between these three drive shafts. We have the CVD style from M2C Racing, and we have the split drive shafts mod that I got from eBay, and then we have the stock Traxxas drive shafts that completely bent on me and destroyed on me after my second run. I mean, there's just no comparison, to be honest with you. Just by looking at it, you could tell that the CVD style from M2C Racing is just way superior any way you look at it. So just the way this thing is set up, guys, is just amazing. So props to M2C Racing for coming up with something like this. I'm super excited to get this thing out there and see how this thing performs. Alright guys, so the next thing I'm going to do is show you guys how this thing is installed into the truck. So let's dive right into that. Alright guys, so we have the Xmaxx upside down. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to drop this base here, like so. Alright, so we have the brace in there, nice and secure. Just insert the spline cup and just kind of find your way in there nicely. So you can see right there, so that's in. So the thing's spinning. So we got that. So we got that in there. The next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna insert your bearing, and then you're gonna insert the other end of the spline, like so, and just kind of just be patient with it. Just kind of find your way in there. All right. So we got that in there. And the next thing you're gonna do, guys, what you're gonna do is make sure that you have your bearing inserted already, and then just kind of sneak this in there, and then drop the pin, and then just kind of, again, just be patient with this part here, and then just kind of find your way in there. All right, so we got the pin in, and then just insert the bearing, and then drop it in there, and then there you go. Perfect. And there you have it. Everything is set up, everything's spinning, so you can see, nice and smooth. I highly recommend just kind of open up the skid plate just to give you more room to kind of work on these things. And the coolest thing about this, guys, is that no modification needed whatsoever. Once everything is seated properly, all you need to do is put your skid plate back together, and then drop the cover in the middle and screw everything back together, and then you're done. As you can see, I mean, it's pretty easy to do. No modification needed whatsoever, like I said. So props to M2C Racing for coming up with something like this. I cannot wait to get this out there and see how this thing performs. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit subscribe if you haven't. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.